Thursday, my new favorite day of the week. The day that Nick decides to tank his views on YouTube because he wants to talk about an anime that's not Naruto. And today, we got JJK. You see, Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the most popular animes on the face of the earth right now. Season 1 took the entire world by storm, and Chapter 0 also continued to take the world by storm in movie format. Between the incredible animation, the well-choreographed fights, and the incredibly well-written characters, JJK is almost a 10 out of 10 for me. So naturally, like the nerd I am, I consumed every bit of information about it that exists, and got a full encyclopedia of it in my head. I don't only do it for Naruto, but here's the thing. There's a couple of similarities between JJK and Naruto, and it's not the fact that Team 7 exists in both universes. No, it's the fact that JJK is a very large, expansive, and cool universe that isn't the best explained. And I know what you're saying,
Well, Nick, there's only been 24 episodes. Of course it's not going to be well explained.
there's a lot more exploring in the worlds and a lot of cool characters and places that come up that aren't super fleshed out, at least to the average person. But what I believe truly suffers the worst from this really cool idea not fleshed out problem is the power system of the world. Cursed energy. You see, cursed energy in summation seems relatively simple. It's a power that is based off negative emotion. The more negative you feel as a curse or a jujutsu sorcerer is going to boost your jujutsu. That's a massive simplification, and there's a lot more intricacies to cursed energy and cursed techniques. And today, in a spoiler-free way, mind you, I'm going to explain to you what cursed energy is and how it's different from the oversimplification we've received. But before we get to over-explaining simple things, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys are enjoying non-Naruto Thursdays, guys, please tell me in the comments below. And while you're being super nice, guys, follow my other two YouTube pages, NZGamer23, where I play video games, and Hammer's Collection, where I unbox massive anime statues. So let's go over what we know as a community about cursed energy and cursed techniques. You see, cursed energy is born from negative emotions, like anger and grief. But here's the thing, every human on the face of the earth has felt anger or despair or grief or sadness, and therefore every human on earth has cursed energy. It's like chakra, but more realistic, and nobody had to go around giving it to everybody. Just by being born, essentially, you're gonna have a small bit of cursed energy inside of you. However, because the human experience is different for everybody on Earth, everybody's gonna have different levels of cursed energy. If you grew up in a family of 5 and you took Christmas photos in white sweaters with your golden retrievers, you're gonna have less cursed energy than the person who watches entire family die in a SWAT raid. And this is important. You see, because the amount of cursed energy you have in your life actually plays into whether or not you'll be able to see curses. If the amount of curse energy you have is over a certain threshold, you will be able to see curses. But here's the thing, you need a lot of cursed energy for that to be the case. This is why being able to see curses is exceptionally rare in the human race. But this is to say, only the people with the most negative emotions in the entirety of society can see curses. This means the people with the most despair, the most anguish, the most anger, all of it. And because cursed energy is so individual and so personal, it manifests differently in every single person. You see, in Naruto, chakra can be used to spit a fireball by a bunch of different people, and those fireballs will be largely the same. I would actually say that cursed energy is closer to Nen than chakra, because not only does cursed energy manifest in different colors in most people, like Yuji's is red, Mahito's is dark purple, and most curses are yellowish. While the overwhelming majority do have blue, the difference in colors is distinctive of the personalities and the anguish and anger or despair that certain people have been through. Here's the thing, the cursed energy that all humans build up by having these negative emotions doesn't stay with them 100% of the time. In fact, the cursed energy that these people feel will build up in society. Think of cursed energy a bit like a disease. The more people that are around, the higher chance that the disease is going to spread. This is because every single person runs a finite amount of risk by walking around other people and catching that disease. So if you look at a place like Tokyo, where there's a lot of people experiencing negative emotions, those emotions stack up on top of each other and eventually form curses. See, because curses are made from the negative emotions of humans. And some curses can just be born out of the blue. One day, enough people were angry walking down a particular street, and then boom, the glass was filled and a curse was made. These curses are weak curses. They just kind of happen because eventually enough cursed energy builds up and a curse is made. However, strong curses are made when negative emotions are focused at something in particular. Take this controller, for example. If every single time you walked down a certain street, this controller punched you in the face, there would be a lot of negative emotions directed towards this controller. Now, if that happened to 10 or so people, it might be enough to make a low-level curse. That curse would be stronger than if those negative emotions weren't directed at anything in particular, but it would still be a weak curse because only 10 people felt those emotions. Now, imagine a hurricane hits Tokyo and it kills 10,000 people. Now, all of the families and all of those affected by the hurricane will project negative emotions at the hurricane. That is a bunch of people projecting their negative energy, their cursed energy, at a particular event, which would make an incredibly powerful curse. Because of this, curses are where more populated areas are. This is why Nobara makes a joke about not being able to fight any curses where she's from, because she's from a rural area. With less people around, there's less cursed energy, and therefore there's just less curses. So cities where there's a lot of people living rather miserably are going to be stacked to the gills with curses. But the problem is, curses are invisible. They're made entirely out of cursed energy, which is nothing technically. However, like I stated earlier, humans with above average cursed energy can see curses. In fact, this is the minimum requirement to be a jujitsu sorcerer, because you can't fight what you can't see. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. However, technically having above average curse energy isn't the only way to see curses. In certain rare circumstances, people can see curses when their life is in danger. But curses aren't the only thing that's invisible to the average person. You see, when a jujitsu sorcerer or a curse uses jujitsu, it leaves a special footprint. Let's say I'm in a battle and I'm running, but I'm using jujitsu the whole time I'm running. Every place I stepped is going to leave a small trace of cursed energy. And this cursed energy can A, be used to track me, and B, even identify me. Because remember what I said, cursed energy and therefore cursed techniques are specific to each person. Therefore, if you know somebody's cursed energy, just by looking at the residuals they left behind, you can identify if it belongs to me, or Toge, or Panda, or Itadori. But truly elite jujitsu sorcerers can actually erase their residuals. Think of this a bit like Zetsu in Hunter x Hunter. Essentially, by managing your output of cursed energy, you can make sure that none is left behind and all is used in your techniques. However, this doesn't only apply for jujitsu sorcerers. Curses can do it as well. Being able to suppress your residuals is not the way the strength of a curse technique user or a curse themselves is ascertained. Strength is ascertained just like it is in Hunter x Hunter, by the amount of cursed energy you have. And just like in Bleach, strong levels of cursed energy can actually instill fear in those around them. And being able to identify how much cursed energy a curse or a curse technique user has is very important for combat. You see, because reading the flow of somebody's cursed energy allows you to predict their movements. You have to mold your cursed energy to either move very quickly or launch one of your cursed techniques. So if you can see how somebody is molding their cursed energy, you can predict what their movements will be. However, because of this, jujitsu sorcerers and curses who have strong physical prowess are actually very tough battles in jujitsu battles. This is why Itadori is such a tough fight for a lot of curses. You see, Itadori has a low cursed energy level, but his physical prowess is insane. So curses try to read his cursed energy, but that doesn't give any tells to how he's gonna fight, because he fights physically. It's a bit like in Hunter x Hunter using Gyo on your eyes to see how Nen is moving in somebody's body. But the problem is that person is either using Zetsu or doesn't have any Nen and therefore is only attacking you physically, so Gyo isn't going to show you anything. But not everybody fights like Yuji Itadori. Most people rely on cursed techniques, specifically cursed energy manipulation. Being able to manipulate your own cursed energy into a focused attack is the base of all jujitsu. It's no different from hockey, spiritual pressure, chakra, or Nen in that way. But the difference between being able to sense curse energy and physically use it is huge. Yuji for a long time could sense cursed energy, but not until he was really mad could he use it, and then when he calmed down a few days later, he couldn't use it at all. And this was after going to Jujutsu High for a good amount of time. And I know I've been comparing cursed energy to Nen and chakra and all of that, but Gojo actually compares it to electricity. Gojo states that electricity is hard to use in its base raw form. I mean, you can shock somebody with a cut wire and that'll be good for blunt force trauma, but electricity is best utilized in the way that it fuels electronics. So the concentration of most jujitsu sorcerers is flowing that electricity into something finer, like a jujitsu technique. However, cursed energy doesn't flow on its own. It's not just always circulating around your body. Cursed energy has to be told where to go, a bit like how you have to put chakra at the bottom of your feet to walk on water. But this was a problem that Yuji had for a long time. You see, Yuji is inhumanly fast. So when he punched somebody, he couldn't get his cursed energy to flow to his fist fast enough to make contact with that person while his fist was making contact with them. And because of this, Yuji accidentally made the divergent fist technique, where he would punch somebody just a regular old superhumanly strong punch, and then after that the cursed energy would hit that person a second time. This would result in a double punch, which would catch curses off guard. But I know what you're saying.
Well, if cursed energy is completely reliant on negative emotions, are all jujutsu sorcerers just always pissed off?
And like sort of, but also no. Ironically, controlling your emotions is one of the most important things in jujutsu sorcery. So essentially, curse technique users have to be angry or sad in battle. They need to be making their own cursed energy to use. But controlling those negative emotions is key so you don't waste all of your energy. If you Super Saiyan 3 yell and just go, ah, all of your cursed energy is gonna leave you. However, if you harness your anger and your despair and your hate for the world, then you can focus that into your body, into your fists, into your sword, like Yuta. You can be just as angry as Goku trying to grow his hair, but you have to focus it with calmness. Otherwise, you'll burn through the entirety of your reserve of cursed energy. And this actually works a lot like Nen. You see, in the Hunter x Hunter universe, Nen is released from every single person from the top of their head. Learning how to harvest Nen requires that you stop that Nen from leaving your body, and you envelop yourself in that Nen that usually would have left you. And because of this, you can live for super long. That's why Netero lived for so long. Cursed energy works exactly the same. By stopping your cursed energy from leaving your body and having it flow to the rest of your body, you essentially cut off the tap of cursed energy going out into the world. In fact, curse technique users release so much less cursed energy back to the world that if every single person on Earth was a curse technique user, curses would cease to exist. Because remember, curses are created from people's cursed energy releasing out into the world. But in order to flow all of that cursed energy around yourself and use it at max efficiency, you need to make one realization. You see, it's largely believed within the jujutsu sorcerer community that your negative emotions are made in your stomach and then float around your body. However, thinking of your body as multiple parts actually delays your cursed energy flow. Thinking of your stomach as the place that cursed energy is created and then having to flow it to your fist slows down how quickly you can get cursed energy to your fist. And this is the problem that Yuji was having. However, truly elite level jujutsu sorcerers realize that they exist in the universe as a mind, a body, and a soul in one piece. And once you make this realization, it becomes much easier to flow cursed energy to any part of your body because it's all one part. And because their cursed energy flows evenly around their entire body, it makes it very hard to read what they're gonna do based off their cursed energy because they can move it so quickly. But since we're talking about applying cursed energy to certain parts of your body, let's talk about applying cursed energy. You see, cursed energy, while not usually used in the way of application, can be used in the way of application. You see, Yuji is kind of an oddball here. By applying cursed energy to his hands in combination with his physical prowess, he can fight toe-to-toe with a grade 1 curse. And while cursed energy is not usually used this way, it can be released as force blasts from your hands or as explosive barriers. It can even be used to coat somebody's skin to increase the hardness for defensive purposes. But cursed energy doesn't only have to be applied to your fists or your skin, it can also be applied to weapons. And this is how Yuta learned cursed energy control, by constantly imbuing a small amount of cursed energy into a katana. See, you can't throw all of your cursed energy into a sword all at once. This will compromise its integrity and crumble it. So cursed weapons have been imbued with a small amount of cursed energy day after day after day. And as they build up this cursed energy, they get harder and more destructive. And eventually a normal tool becomes a cursed tool. But cursed energy can be used in even different ways than all that. You see, remember how we said cursed energy is unique to every single person? Well, yeah, you can also apply special traits to your cursed energy. There's a person who comes into JJK much later by the name of Kinji. And Kinji's cursed energy has an edge to it. Essentially, Kinji's special trait makes his cursed energy feel like you're being hit by a serrated baseball bat. There's also a person who comes later on in JJK named Hajime. And Hajime's cursed energy has the properties of electricity. So when you're hit by it, it feels like you're being electrocuted, much like how Killua was able to make his Nen feel like electricity. And these special traits make your cursed energy incredibly hard to defend against. Because let's say you block an electricity attack, it's still gonna shock you. And these special traits are obviously individualistic. Those aren't the only ways that somebody can make their cursed energy unique. Have I told you about how Nen and cursed energy are similar yet? I haven't? Well, they are, and this is how. One can apply restrictions to their cursed energy that makes it more powerful. Does that sound like Nen? It does. Yeah, it's because they're basically the same thing. Essentially, the way that it's explained in the JJK universe is that in order to gain something, one must offer something. This applies to a lot of things, both within cursed techniques and just the regular world. But a big factor of restrictions is risk. Remember how Shoot tied a bandana over his eye while he was fighting against Yuppie, and he decided to only use one of his legs and therefore became significantly more powerful? That's because he was putting a self-imposed Nen restriction on his Nen and risking a lot, and that made his Nen more powerful. Same thing applies in the JJK universe. The greater the risk to the Jujutsu sorcerer, the higher strength of the Jujutsu technique. Because of this, the fastest way for somebody to increase their own cursed energy is to make a binding vow with their life as the offer. Like you make a cursed energy vow that says you can only use your cursed energy between the hours of 9 and 10 a.m. And if you use it at any other point, boom, you die. For that hour, you're gonna be insanely powerful. And this is a shortcut to power. But since risk is so important in increasing one's own cursed energy, by divulging the set of circumstances that make you more powerful, like if I were to tell you that I only have an hour of cursed energy to work with, that would also increase my cursed energy. Because by divulging the parameters of my self-imposed restrictions, I've put myself at more risk. You know my powers. And the negative emotions that would come along with somebody now knowing more about you and therefore kind of having a leg up on you also increases your cursed energy. Risk increasing the amount of cursed energy you have is actually why some humans are able to see cursed spirits when they're about to die. The heightened emotions and cursed energy you feel as you're about to die boosts your cursed energy so much so that average people can see curses. Examples of self-imposed restrictions are like Nanami's overtime. During the workday 9 to 5, Nanami does not have access to the entirety of his cursed energy. But once 5 o'clock happens, he gets a massive influx in cursed energy. And these risks in self-imposed restrictions increase all kinds of jujitsu techniques. They make your barriers stronger, they make your innate abilities stronger, they make everything you can do with cursed energy stronger. However, not all restrictions increase your cursed energy. In fact, some restrictions reduce it. Why would you want to reduce your own cursed energy? It's a great question. Some cursed technique users use restrictions that reduce their cursed energy to increase their physical strength. Toji is able to reduce his cursed energy to a quite literal 0 in exchange for better speed, senses, and strength to a superhuman level. But it can also go the opposite way. You can give up the entirety of your physical strength and speed for unparalleled cursed energy. This is the circumstance for Kokichi. And yeah, that's it. Everything you need to know about cursed energy, cursed manipulation, cursed techniques, cursed restrictions, all of that. And it is also technically the first ever JJK YouTube video I've ever filmed. Did you guys like it? If you did, guys, please for me, like the video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you really like the JJK video, guys, tell me in the comments below and I'll make more. Listen, I don't want the people who took white sweater Christmas photos with their golden retrievers to get upset, but just, I don't know, it must be nice.